stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em. Yeah, we got 'em. Yeah, we got 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em. Finger bottle, never stop it. To the beast and on 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen. We gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and
Welcome to Bengals and Brews. I am Del Altman, joined by my co-host, the big savage himself, Greg Luther. What is up, Greg?
Just trying to get through this week, man. Just trying to get through this snowy week. And that's all I can tell you. But I plow on, as I told you yesterday.
Yes, just plow on, baby. Marvin Lewis t-shirt. Put it on the Chop Shop.
Hey, and I just, speaking of Chop Shop, proud sponsor of the show, just ordered myself a t-shirt today. Looking forward when it gets in. And when I get that, I will go to Midwest Best Barbecue, another proud sponsor of the show, and chug it down with some good saucy wings.
Well, no arguments as of right now. Me and Greg don't typically argue. Jeff, that got it a little tense, but, I still love Jeff. I'm going to be on his show at 5:30, so I can't say no arguments today because I'll be on a show at 5:30.
Just a debate. No, a debate. Just
difference of opinion.
That's all it is, yeah.
But yeah, today we'll talk some Bengals free agents specifically. There's quite a long list, actually, and some of these guys are restricted. Some have exclusive rights, but a bunch of unrestricted free agents, and give our thoughts on maybe who should come back. And obviously it always goes with cost and things like that, but then there's a good chunk of these guys too that you could probably get back on a veteran minimum deal that are on this list. But we'll start at the top. Oh, I know, Chris, you're just teasing. I know, brother. Yeah, it did get a little tense though. I ain't gonna lie. I got a little upset. Listen, and I'm not shitting on Jeff, but in general, it's like, man, we always talk about Troy and Katie too. We know they handle the contract stuff, so it's just like, I just wanted to say, which I apologize for, getting a little upset there yesterday, but I don't like if it sounds like someone puts words in my mouth because, like, no. But I do think Mike Brown is still involved. He's the owner of the team for sure.
Yeah.
Not saying that either.
I mean, no. He's still there. He's still in the chair. And I'm sure he has, a say here and there, but not as much as he used to.
Yeah. I just think, he's obviously groomed Katie to take that role over after him. And then Troy being her husband seems to run a lot of things as well. And
right.
I think Duke has a big say. That's why it's like, I wish he was the actual GM, so he had to actually answer questions and, maybe be a little more on the hot seat, honestly. I don't think that he should get a pass. No teams, see GMs getting fired like these coaches around the league. And it's like, at some point you got to start at the top on who should be fired. Everybody wants to look at the head coach or a position coach or, a coordinator. And it's like, that matters, obviously. But also the guys who are, and the people who are getting them these players, and it's their job to evaluate the players. And I still think expanding the scouting department.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That has to, it's no secret how the Ravens are so good because they have a scouting staff. I have a buddy of mine who played college ball at Murray State, not a big school, but every year the Ravens will be there because the point I'm making is Ravens will go to have a scouts. Well, they'll go to every single college. They will scout every single college, and Ravens do a good job finding players even at small colleges that play well.
Yeah, and the more people you have, the more places you can go, the more times you can be on campus, the more, I guess it would be a time to talk Germaine Burton. You can go and be there at Alabama and get firsthand accounts and see how he goes about his business at practice and things like that, and talk to the coaches about how he is and, people around campus about how the person is. Because I don't want to say too much about the Burton situation that's kind of come to light today with a Kelsey Conway article on Cincinnati.com. If you want to check it out, but alleged cops came about an assault potentially. No charges ended up being filed, but if you read what was said, it definitely doesn't look good. If it's true, obviously you cut bait with them, and you may cut bait with them even if it's not true, because it's not just this one thing. There's the thing out there, he's being evicted and sued for destroying property of where he lives. And, we know about coming late to meetings and things like that. And yeah, you invested high draft capital in him, but honestly, it's not even about him as a player right now. It's as a person. He clearly is somebody who needs some kind of help and just to get his life in general together. Regardless if that specific thing is true. If it's true, it's awful. I'm not trying to downplay that. It's just we don't know necessarily. Right. Sometimes, people will lie, unfortunately, about things. But, it's a little crazy. It's definitely a wild story, guys.
We gotta wait till what comes out. You gotta wait till that's.
But even if the facts come out or not, I do think that maybe they just cut bait with him. What's your thoughts on that, as far as without the specific situation, but in general, because it's definitely it's got some issues in general,
right? I mean, the old saying, "You're innocent until proven guilty," and all that and stuff. I have to see what comes out, but like you said, Dale, it's not just this incident; it's other incidents where even when we needed him the most, when T was hurt, when we needed him the most, we would not dress him for game day. That says a lot right there. Clearly, there's something going on. There's something going on. He needs to go. He needs help. He needs to go get help. Like I say, it's just that. Would I be surprised if they cut him? Not really. No. I mean, I just think he just needs. Maybe he gets help and he catches on somewhere else and starts over. I'd be happy. Hopefully something like that happens for him. But as of right now, he needs to go. Something needs to happen.
Yeah, because I don't think it's doing him any service just to be like, oh, you're still everything's fine. Like, clearly everything is not fine. You've kind of proven that throughout the entire season, and you've just been unreliable. And, regardless of this situation, just throughout the season with being late. And, you got to, if you don't show up to work, what's going to happen, Greg?
Exactly. You're going to get fired. If I didn't show up to work, if I didn't call into work or anything, I get written up and all that and stuff. You got to, I don't care how much, if you don't like showing up to work, I'm sorry. That's how it goes. There's consequences.
Yeah, and they kind of we kind of seen a change in this. Like Katie's talked about wanting good character players, Andrew mentions here. And we have kind of seen that. We've kind of seen a culture shift and a lot of good dudes, which, speaking of good dudes, to shine a little light on the positive, T. Higgins, Eli's Barbecue, posted, I think it was like their father-in-law, he helped push them out of the snow the other day. Like, shout out T. Higgins, good human, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Do things the right way.
We go for captains also, too, leaders. And, because when we drafted Burt, we had no, like you said, we had no doubt his talent. The talent was there. The talent's there. But when you see Nick Saban say,
emotional maturity, I think, was the
yes. That says, and usually coaches do what they can to help out their players. But when Nick Saban says something like that, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah, I agree. And the red flags were there, and they rolled the dice with it, and they were excited for the talent, and it hasn't worked out. And I'm not. And maybe they give him another year. Maybe they get him help behind the scenes. Maybe he turns things around.
Yeah,
that's their decision. But I'm just saying, it won't surprise me if he's cut and they just cut their losses because he's got some serious issues going on.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't want to. Like I say, I'm not going to get too into it because we have to see what comes out. I just hope he just gets the help that he needs.
And I think most people in the chat seem to be in a similar agreement there. Trevor, our buddy, who hopped on with us the other day, if Joe can't get through to him and Jamar and those guys, that says a lot. I mean, those are guys who've been here and done it. And I mean, Chase missed he said he was late for a walkthrough or something, and
Well, no, and so I caught a clip of this. TJ Houshmandzadeh was on Bengal Jim's show yesterday, and he said, "Look, every time I talk to him, it's been great conversation. He does everything right, but like in the end,
does everything right at least, right?
Yeah, no, like on the field, like doing
okay.
No, on the field and all that and stuff. Like every time he's talked to him, it's always been good conversation, but it's just like, TJ's pretty much like in the end, he's got it, I don't know.
Yeah, no one can do anything. They can't do this stuff for him. They can't make him grow up. They can't make him be more professional. They can't make him make the right decisions. Ultimately, every person is responsible.
At the end of the day, it sounds like he's got to figure that out himself. You could have all the talent in the world, but mentally, it's just like I'm just going to keep saying. I hope he gets the help he needs.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and shift over to the topic of the show, which is Bengals free agents. And you got to start right at the top with the biggest one, and the one that Joe Burrow's been most vocal about, and that's T. Higgins, who we just mentioned, for being a good person and helping somebody out that was stuck in the snow the other day. So shout out to that once again. But yeah, it's obviously this is the biggest one. That's like, to me, that's like the money, because it's going to be the most money. He's going to be one of the top free agents, regardless of position on the market. And clearly at wide receiver, the biggest target. So there's teams that I say he could get upwards of 30 million, 30 plus on the open market. Go ahead.
Patriots have 130 million cap space. You don't think they're looking at T. Higgins right now if they let him hit the market? I guarantee you, I could see the Patriots paying him $30 million a year.
A bunch of teams, the Jaguars, where Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, there you go. He would love to go back and play with his old college teammate. The thing of it is, I thought Yoshi would have a big year. I'm like, let's see what Yoshi can do if he had to step in. And clearly, when T's out, no one can replace T, really. And Yoshi still is a good receiver, but not as a number 2. You need to keep T. I mean, when Joe said, when I told you this, as I've said millions of times, Dale, whether you're for or against keeping T, I'm on keep Joe happy. If Joe wants T back, I'm getting T back.
Yeah, and we've talked about T quite a bit, so we won't spend a ton of time on this one. I guess, and we've mentioned this too, it wouldn't shock me if they do the franchise tag, but I just think that's bad. That's a little bit of bad business, because you can go ahead and start negotiating with him now. So I hope it gets done to where they don't even have to put the tag on him. But if they put the tag, then it better be like, hey, we're this close to a deal and we're just doing it because we need to, or we're going to trade him and recoup some value from losing a player of his caliber, because there's no reason to wait on a potential comp pick the following year when you have so many needs as is right now, because you only get that comp pick if you don't invest in your team for this season.
Well, yeah, and that also, the fact that he switched agents. I mean, dude, he's going to free agency. He had the best agent who is getting the best money for all of his clients, and then he switches. And I'm not ripping on Chase's agent, but the fact that he's getting the same agent as Chase, you guys all tell me if that's a coincidence right there, because it sure as hell isn't. I'm not going to keep saying this, but something is clearly trying to be done behind closed doors, so that way those two can have the same agent. He can cooperate with the Bengals at the same time. So
yeah, and Christian Kirk got overpaid with the Jaguars, right? And then Calvin Ridley got overpaid with the Titans. God. So yeah, if T hits that open market, man, it's going to be a big, big, big contract. So I would get it done if he wants to be here. And you don't want to say a player will take less, but you got to step up to, there might have to be a compromise. And Joe's tried to put some things with his contract to make it easier on the Bengals to be able to keep these guys. I know on the surface it doesn't look like that, but I'm pretty sure it is that way, right, Greg?
Yeah, exactly. And going back to T, obviously the injuries. T cannot play. 60 or 70% of the games he can play at times. That's the one thing that obviously still concerns me. That will not scare other teams off, I don't think. But like I said, that is the concerning thing for me right there. But the fact that T wants to be here, something had. Do you think they could both get done the same time?
And I don't know about the exact same time. That just doesn't necessarily seem like a Bengals thing. I know we can always go back to Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap. That one got done at the same time. But typically they're not getting multiple deals done at the same time. That's kind of the one occasion. Right. And, that's been quite a while now. But I'm not completely ruling it out, because if they're close with both and they can make it happen and they know they're keeping both of them, that would be a fun way, right, to sign them both and have a press conference with both those guys with their signing new contracts.
Dude, that'd be the press conference of the century right there.
Yeah, and Tina also mentioned what you were just saying about the injury history is a little concerning. But there's ways that – because they're just going to see that number at the end of can earn $5 million or 5 years, $100 million or whatever. That would be a very low end, $25 million a year. But I'm just saying, that's going to be the number that's seen, whatever it ends up the exact number being. 5 years, $120 million, $110 million, $115, whatever number you want to put there. But maybe within that, it's structured to where there's playing time incentives in each of those seasons. If he hits 70%, it's X amount extra. That's part of that. If he hits 80%, it's extra, and then playoff wins, things like that he participates in. There's all these escalators that can be built into a contract. So you give yourself a little protection for that part of it. And I think that's the way it should happen. But then, obviously people are just going to be like, well, the average annual value is $28 million a year. And he's happy and the Bengals are happy, but there's a lot of incentives in there.
Right, exactly. So, we'll see. But like I say, obviously our confidence has gone way up after he switched from Mulligetta to Chase's agent. I mean, I went from 0%. I'm going to say 51% right now.
Yeah, it works for me. 51% just because of the way Joe's lobbying, the way T switched agents. I think that's a fair number. It's just given the little edge right now. Him staying instead of
if he really wanted the money, he would have stuck with Mulligetta because Mulligetta is getting the job done. The reason why a lot of fans in the NFL in general don't like Mulligetta because he's good at what he does.
Yeah, these are facts. And then how much confidence do we have in Katie getting the contract done after the game they played with Chase? Well, it all backfired on them, right? The game they played, and then they didn't make the postseason again. And not saying it's because of the contracts, but now they're in this situation where Joe's putting pressure on him, and it just feels like, man, it's a real tipping point one way or another for how this front office is viewed. And I think it starts with these big names and big time players and their contracts.
Joe, and as Joe should. Because Joe was like, the reason I got the contract I got now is so we could keep some of my players here. I mean, I don't want to piss off Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll move on. The next guy that's on this list here is B.J. Hill, defensive tackle. We've obviously talked about him as well. I think he made about $8 million average annual value on his last contract, and I imagine he's wanting at least that, if not a bump up to about $10 million a year. It's tough, right, because he's getting a little older. But he's been solid here, but he's never been he's not spectacular. He's not like a game-changing defensive tackle, but he's a guy who's done his job. He's done everything the right way. He seems to be a good team guy. Other players love him. Coaches love him. He's reliable. He's dependable. I would love to bring him back, but this is also another one that's going to be all about the money. I just don't want to see good players leave because I still think even if you got BJ back, you still need another pass rushing defensive tackle on top of him. So if you lose him, now you're replacing two spots basically that you need there.
So we got him. That was one of the best trades we ever made. I mean, that and, Reggie Nelson, you could argue and all that and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Billy Press, BJ Hill, we definitely won that trade big time right there. His best year is when we had Larry Ogunjobi with him. That was his best year is when we had Larry Ogunjobi. When he left, he was never terrible, but he's not a full-time starter. You need like another rotation piece to help him out.
Yeah, a guy you can rely on and give you that same level of play, to pair him with.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. But like BJ Hill, like you said, at his position right now where he's mediocre, oh yeah, some team would love to have him right now. I mean, some team would love to have him as a rotational piece right now who could easily overpay him. I can see that happening.
I'll give Kyle this here. We got Kyle Cash, Ravens fan, hopping in, said, go Ravens. Yeah, I'm going with you guys, and it's for your other comment here. Yeah, fuck the Steelers. It's always fuck the Steelers. So beat their ass. And you guys should literally beat their ass because they are struggling right now. George Pickens, man, you never know what George Pickens you're going to get, but if you can get in his head and he's not on that day and he drops a pass or you knock one out, you can take him completely out of a game, and it won't surprise me if that happens.
Pickens could easily be a top 10 receiver. He should be a top 10 receiver, but
yeah, and we got a couple people who are here, Travis and Chris, talking about BJ. Not sure they could pay him 10, and maybe you got to let him go. I get that because there's going to have to be some tough decisions, and as we continue down this list, there's only so many slices of the pie if we has been made clear to us as fans.
But if you lose Hill, it's like DJ Reader. You can't. We're going backwards here on the defensive line. I mean,
I know it's a tough, right, and it's really as with most things will come down to. What does that contract look like, and how much are the Bengals willing to pay a guy who's getting close to 30 years old? So it'll be interesting to see. And then, yeah, you got Tina, you're right, the defense coordinator, whoever that is, whoever comes in on the it may be a little easier for the offensive side of the ball because they're going to have continuity. Unless Dan Pitcher gets a head coach job, which as of right now, I don't see that, but I think he'll get some interviews. But yeah, the offense may have a little more continuity and be more able to make their decisions where we got to get a defense coordinator in here. And I do think that's why the Bengals are moving a little quicker. And I am a little more on board with Patrick Graham the more I read about him if he ends up being the guy.
Yeah, no, but here's the problem, though. Dale and I here were saying, like, Robert Saleh, he's not interested in defensive coordinators because he's trying to be a head coach again. I mean, Dennis Allen, maybe he's waiting out to hear a phone call as well. Yeah, and I get.
And someone made a good point, too, Greg, earlier on Twitter to me. Shout out Sam on Twitter. He was saying about, like, Dennis Allen will get $3.5 million next year to not even coach. Robert Saleh will get $5 million next year to not even coach. So to get $5 million, you're probably going to get a head coach job if you're Robert Saleh, and he probably wants a head coach job. But is Dennis Allen going to come here? We paid Lou $1.5 million. You're not going to get Dennis Allen for $1.5 million,
No.
and any money that he accepts takes off money from that $3.5 million. So if he's only getting $2 million, he can sit home and get $3.5 million already to not be grinding every day as a coach. So maybe he takes a year off. So maybe that's why we're not hearing anything about Dennis Allen, really.
Right, exactly. And I get it. They want to get a guy in here now, but the problem I have with that is you kind of want to wait to see who's out there available. You don't want to rush into this too much because say if you only interview the, three or four candidates total, whatever, and say if it's the Raiders DC, and then, like I said, I saw what you've been posting, and he seems very intriguing. He seems intriguing. I wouldn't be against it, but the point I'm making is you kind of want to wait this out, see where the right fit is. Also, you don't want to rush into this, and that's another thing. Is this even if it is a high name DC? Is he going to be the right fit for our team? Or Dale, are we a 3-4? Are we still a 4-3 team, or are we kind of like a hype?
I think we're going to be a 4-3. I can't see that changing. And the Raiders, I'm almost positive ran a 4-3, which is where Graham's from. Right. I feel like the Patriots also ran a 4-3. A lot of teams do run a 4-3. Right. There's not too many teams, I don't think, that run strictly a 3-4. Now teams will always mix and match and change things up and do a little bit of both, but I think we're definitely going to stick to being more of a 4-3 team.
Well, like I say, I just don't want to rush into this. I get it. You want to bring someone in now because, remember, I go back when we had Gruden, Jackson, or Zampese, all these assistant coaches. They all said, "Oh yeah, we were involved in the draft process. We were very hands on." So this guy's coming in. He's got a lot to handle. He's like, I got to get involved in the draft process. I'm not going to have scouts really helping me out here when we have a small scouting staff. So he's going to get the keys to the car, and he's got a lot of grocery shopping to do too. He's got a lot of errands he has to make in that car. Also.
Yeah, and a lot of decisions on these free agents that we're going through. And the next one, and as Andrew mentioned, don't you think the defense might have to have some cuts, or some of these guys they can't re-sign even to keep T and Trey and the Jamar contract, because there's only so much pie to go around. We'll always say that. We'll always have that from the Bengals. But the next guy too is Mike Hilton, and I think it's going to be tough for him because it's like, yes, you want to keep Mike Hilton. You love what he does as a leader. You love how he blitzes off the edge. You love the way he tackles. Like, he's a sound, reliable tackler, but he's not the greatest in coverage. We mentioned maybe, do you think about putting him at safety? Do you think about having a hybrid role for him? I don't think you can just, and it depends what the defense coordinator wants. Obviously, as we've been mentioning, that's with every one of these. So I won't try to mention that every time. But yeah, Mike Hilton's a very interesting one too. But if I could get Mike back for $4 or $5 million, I think I'd do it just for what he brings as a leader and what his reliable tackling, because we have a lot of guys that are not reliable tacklers, and he is one of them. He's incredible as a blitz, but you have to have a plan for him. The plan can't be 70-80% of the snaps that he's out there no matter what. It may even be team specific of when he's out there. I want to see a coordinator be more flexible. Like Lou's playing Geno Stone. We thought Geno Stone might be a rotational guy with Jordan Battle and Von Bell, and depending on matchup, you're playing a more running centric team, then you have a different guy in there, because Geno Stone's not known for stopping that. But if you have a passing offense, then Geno Stone but we saw Geno Stone play 100% of the snaps all season, no matter what. I hope our new coordinator is more willing to mix and match who's playing depending on the matchup.
Well, no, and the new coordinator, don't favor the veterans over the rookies all the time. Please give the rookie a chance. If you think he has a better chance, because look what happened near the end. We started now. Granted, we were going up get some pretty bad quarterbacks, but still, it was working a heck of a lot better when you started letting more people play.
Yeah, simplified the defense. You had younger guys in there. Guys were getting expanded roles. They were rotating more than they had been on the D line. Just things that we all thought they should have been done earlier. Just as fans, and then lo and behold, things went better when you just did those things. So I hope it doesn't take any time to get to that point next year, hit the ground running.
Going back to Mike Hilton, here's the thing. We have to treat this like Von Bell. He's not going to be – he's at that point where he's not going to be the player he once was, but the player he is now still may not be bad if you use him the right way. Like you said, in blitz pickups or, corner pickups or what, but clearly Mike Hilton is not reliable, like you said, in the passing game. But if I can get him in there, or like even on like a big 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, and I just say, go get the quarterback, I would do that in a heartbeat with Mike Hilton.
He's great at it. Like Tyler said, best blitzing cornerback in the league. I can't argue that point. I've watched it, man. He's so good coming off that edge. And he's not a big guy, but he'll come off that edge.
Not
you don't care how big you are. He'll saw you in half.
Ever since we got Mike Hilton, he's just been so awesome here. He's been such a fan favorite. And like you said, he's a leader and all that. But yeah,
I would hate to lose him. Chris mentioned, the locker room taking another leadership hit like that would be bad. And I hope it works out, because Mike is one that is very high on my list throughout this list that I personally want to see back for those reasons. But I also understand if somebody wants to give Mike Hilton $8 million a year, we'll just toss out a number. We don't know these. You never know what a guy's going to get. But if somebody wants to give him 2 years, $16 million.
Right.
Well, he's probably gone. And I think we would have to accept that as fans. I don't think I could be like, well, the Bengals made the wrong decision there because of all the players that need signed.
Right, but I just hope this is another Von Bell situation again. When you bring Von Bell back, you thought he was going to be the player he once was. Clearly, he's not. I just hope that's not the same situation with Mike Hilton.
Well, every time Mike will have a bad start to the season. Last season, I feel like he didn't start the strongest. And then he comes on and it's like, man, okay. And then this year, the same. I'm like, well, maybe he's fallen off at his age. Maybe this is the downside. And then he turns it on and balls out.
Then it's like, he comes right back. So, it kind of goes back and forth. You don't know what you're going to get. But like I say, for the leadership role, I'll take him back at the right price.
Yeah, and this guy isn't on this free agent list that we're going through here, but Sam Hubbard, we've kind of talked about it. Is he Tyler asked, do we keep him for the Cincinnati kid thing? Is he going to another team? Does he retire? The only way I see he's back if he wants to accept like $2 million a year, because right now he's counting like $10 million against the cap for next season, and there is no universe I'm paying Sam Hubbard $10 million because he's a Cincinnati kid. Like, not to be mean, but like just in general, like that would be a terrible decision for the Bengals, because he has definitely fallen off the last couple of years, dealt with a lot of injuries. And I would be happy for Sam. I know, didn't he recently get engaged, probably get married soon?
Yeah.
If he decides to start a family and he retires and moves on with his life, it's a great career here if he does that.
Let me ask you this. With his injury history, Dale, could you see a team making a call to him just with his injury history?
I mean, I think somebody might, if he wants to keep playing and he's completely out on the market, I could see somebody bringing him in for a couple million, just because he's still a decent run defender. And if he is back healthy, I think he'd play better. And honestly, he played a little better even through the injury this year when he started going down to 50% or lower of the snap. In a reduced role, in a very reduced role, Sam could still give you something against those teams that can run the ball well.
Well, and Sam Hubbard, here's the thing. A lot of even like when he was in his prime, I had like a friend of mine tell me, "Oh, he's not a pass rusher. He's not a pass rusher." I don't give a damn if he's not a pass rusher. He was great in the run game. He could play in the passing game. Sam Hubbard was very versatile. Maybe this new DC can come in and say, "Hey, I got a plan for Sam. Maybe I can be kind of like what we were talking about with Mike Hilton. I'm not going to play him full time."
Or heater. I got a tiny little heater. This thing about this big, and it's right here, and it ain't helping nothing. Crib. That's what's with the gloves, buddy.
But
these gloves though, I can still move the mouse and stuff, so that's good.
And you can get the middle finger still too.
Yeah.
There you go. But no, like with Sam Hubbard, like if the new DC that comes in and says, "Hey, I'd like to use Sam," and if we give back Sam back the right price, I could use him in certain situations.
Mike Vrabel, goal line packages on offense role for Sam Hubbard if he comes back. I like that.
I want to see Sam. What did I say? Sam did score a touchdown. Maybe
what a hell of a way to go out if that's the last play of his career. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think we would all be like, "All right, Sam, if you want to retire, we get $10 million against the cap, and we don't have to cut you because you retired, so we don't have to say we cut you, so it looks good. Plus, you go out catching a freaking touchdown pass in the NFL, like with a torn ACL or whatever he ended up having, whatever the injury, that would be incredible." Yeah, Travis, keep rubbing it in. You rubbed it in on Twitter the other day. Travis down in the Caribbean. So while I'm complaining about all the snow and everything else, we got Travis down there just soaking in the sun, 90-degree weather. It must be nice. What's up, T-Brookie? Stranger. Yeah. Like, honestly, me with sleeves is like Silent Bob talking. Yeah, you're right. It hurts. It pains me to have sleeves on. But we'll move on. The next guy on this list is Trent Brown. I know he got injured, but he's had a great career. Another guy, he's getting a little long in the tooth. How long has he got left? Will his play fall off? And his play was a little rough the first week or two, but I think where he didn't practice a lot and he's got to get back almost into game shape as he plays every year now. that he's a slow starter. But if he wanted to come back for 1 year, $2 million, I love him. I would love that because of the swing tackle versatility. Yeah. And it's hard to find linemen. So if he wanted to come back on a 1 year, $2 million deal or something like that, maybe with some incentives or something, basically a vet minimum deal, I would be all for it just because I still think he's a big body talented guy. It's just he is getting older.
Well, with the new offensive line coach coming in, we'll see. But if it wasn't for the injury, I would be all for this. But like you said, Dale, his swing tackle, and maybe they could put him in a guard at times. So you never know. If it was like for $1 million, why not? What do you got to lose, right?
Absolutely. I agree. So I don't think there's too much on Trent Brown. It's like if the money works out. Yeah, I haven't heard anything on the rehab, Tina. And who knows if he wants to keep playing, right? Because he's dealt with injuries throughout his career too. And I think that's a lot for these guys, you know. So we'll see if he even wants to keep playing. But if he wants to keep playing and he wants to come back and he'll take a vet minimum deal, sign me up all day for that.
Oh, yeah,
Akeem Davis-Gaither, not sure what his market will be because he's never really been a full-time starter, but he was getting an opportunity here down the stretch to be that once Logan Wilson got hurt for us, and I thought he flashed at times. We'll see what the new defense coordinator has in mind. But just like we brought him back this year, we wasn't sure if we get him back this year, and we got him back for pretty cheap. If we can get Akeem Davis-Gaither back for cheap, sign me up all day long. That's another one just because, like, if somebody wants to say, hey, we're going to give you 2 years, $10 million, I'm probably not bringing him back, but if I can get him back for even $3 million, $3.5 million on a 1 year deal or something, I would probably do it just because special teams seems like another locker room guy here, and we don't want to lose too many of those. But then anytime you have an injury, he steps in and performs. Like, yeah, he missed some tackles here and there. He wasn't perfect by any means, but he can cover a little bit. He can rush the passer a little bit, and he can just flat out make plays and fly around. He's got pretty good speed. He was an edge a little bit in college as well at Appalachian State. So he's got a little versatility too. So I like a lot about Akeem Davis-Gaither.
I was a huge fan. I mean, obviously Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, but that was my favorite. I was fired up when we got him. I loved him coming out of Appalachian State because, I'm like, the knock on him was that it was a small college, but man, the speed he had. And I still think, I tell you what, that Ravens game where we had him in the middle of the field spying on Lamar, that was awesome. But ever since then, you haven't seen too much of him. But when he comes in, he produces. I definitely would love to have him back.
Somebody said, not Pratt, draft a guy, or Gaither. Nick says Gaither was better at tackling than Pratt. Ryan said
Pratt. I mean,
potentially draft a guy.
You know what? Say if we did cut Pratt and we had to start Gaither, I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah, and hopefully Logan Wilson can come back and hit the ground running for training camp and stuff. I also don't know how, his injury, how long that will keep him out or anything like that. He went on IR late in the season here as well. Next guy we've talked about as well a little bit, Mike Gesicki. So we're kind of hitting all the top names, and then the other ones will be a lot quicker to honestly go through. But I think we're both Gesicki slurpers, right, Greg?
Man, I wanted him a year ago when he went to the Patriots.
Yeah, it's strictly money, and we've kind of talked about that. If the money gets up to around $6, $7, $8 million a year, somewhere in that range, I think the Bengals wouldn't be in on. But man, if they could find a way to get him back for $5 million a year, 2 years, $10 million, and he would be okay with that because it's still a pay bump from what you had. Yeah, it's not these incredible career earnings, but you will have success with Joe Burrow, and you'll be remembered here when you win a Super Bowl with us next year.
Dale, I could see a team going after him because the way how tight ends are really popular now these days. I know he's going to be 30 years old, but I told you this, man.
Zama got paid. Hurst got paid.
And he's had a way better year than all those, than both of them. I could see something. I'm telling you this, man. If Travis Kelce says he's retiring, they're going to make a phone call to Mike Gesicki. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my fear. I could see a team just overpaying the hell out of Mike Gesicki. I mean, C.J. Uzomah got way overpaid. That was what's the free agent tight end class like? Is it?
The free agent? I don't know about the free agent.
Because I got to know about that too. Because C.J. Uzomah got lucky because it wasn't
the draft. But you only have 6 draft picks right now, so it's like maybe we get a linebacker, maybe we get a safety, maybe we get a corner. We need a D lineman, we need 2 guards. We need and we got to see what we do in free agency. But I do like the tight end class. Obviously,
the free agency class is what I want to know, because if it's a weak free agency class, then that's definitely somebody will definitely overpay Mike Gesicki. I know he says he wants to stay, but just because you want to stay, but you can't get the money doesn't mean. But Mike Gesicki, then again, remember, he was at the Dolphins. He called his agent wanting to play with Joe Burrow. So he went, and he's had, everybody thought he was done after New England. So we'll see what happens. But definitely do what you can also to get Gesicki back.
And I was waiting on it, Ryan. Any chance for Ryan to get to mention Harold Fannin, his draft crush here at tight end? His tight end one.
Bowling Green.
Yeah, and he's going to be a Senior Bowl guy. Man, that Senior Bowl is going to be stacked, so I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch the stuff during practice because what they've put together just on the D-line and O-line should be fascinating matchups throughout the week in practices.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far off topic here, but
right.
Who is the number one guy you're just so excited? You said there's a lot, but who is, if you had to pick one, offense and defense?
What do you mean, for the Bengals or in general?
No, for the Senior Bowl, who are you excited to see?
Oh, to watch? I think on defense, man, there's so many good ones, but I like that Mike Green, and he was the last one that was announced from Marshall.
I saw
pressure out of Marshall, man, and I'm just excited about him because I think he could very well end up being in play at pick 17.
Okay.
He balled out this year. He originally went to Virginia Tech, so it's not like he was just always some small school guy. He was at Virginia Tech, transferred to Marshall, and I believe he's still fairly young because I think he was only like a redshirt sophomore.
Well, I think Santori would be all for it, for him being a big margin.
Yeah.
Something hurt, so I think Santori would be all over that.
Yeah, and he holds up pretty well in the run game because he's not the biggest guy, and that's a little bit of the knock. You wonder, would a 3-4 team want to use him an outside linebacker? But then they use a lot of those guys basically at edges anyways, like a TJ Watt. He basically just plays on the edge. He doesn't ever play linebacker.
Who for offense are you excited for?
Oh, man, offense. Gosh, I've been so zoned in on the defense, but I'll toss out Marcus Mbow. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. The M could be silent. It might just be Marcus Bow. I don't know. It's Mbow is how it's spelled, his last name. But I need to learn the pronunciation of it. Kid out of Purdue. He's an offensive lineman that's played tackle at Purdue, but he's good chance he kicks into guard because he's only like 6'3" or 6'4". But he's held up really well at tackle, like elite PFF grades, everything, and he looks pretty good. And I'm excited. I will stick with that because of what I was saying about the line. So I'm excited to see those matchups, and I'm excited to see a kid like him. But there's also the small school linemen and stuff. It still scares the hell out of me personally because Cordell Volson. But there's guys like a Gray Zabel who's out of North Dakota State also, like Volson was, that'll be at the Senior Bowl. And I want to see those guys, against this competition.
Well, who's that team playing for the Broncos who came out of that D3 school, and he's playing well, isn't he?
Quinn Miners.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's guys that pan out. You can't just say because Volson didn't. Volson was also a 6-year player. There was a lot of things that
Volson got thrown in.
He was a tackle converting to guard, and there'll be some of those guys too, but,
What's like Michael Jordan? He should have stayed at Ohio State. He had talent, but we threw him in quickly, I thought, so.
Yeah, and Ryan mentions a guy, he's Alabama A&M, Carson Vincent, a guy that I need to add to the draft guy, but I have been starting to watch some. He's another Senior Bowl guy, and he's like, I think he's 6'6" or 6'7", and he's like 305, so he's a little thinner frame, but I've seen him listed at guard, but it's honestly like a guy you hope can stick at tackle, and I want to see how he does at tackle. Not that we necessarily have to get a tackle, but just some of these small school guys are exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there you go, man. Yeah, my nephew goes to Marshall as well, T-Brookie. So
there you go.
Shout out, man. Shout out for that. And he beat Notre Dame 2 years ago. And Notre Dame's still in the playoffs, so you did do that. Congratulations. But yeah. Yeah, and that's the guard he mentioned, Edge, Kennard. Yeah, Kyle Kennard could go higher than the third round, but yeah, I could see him second or third. It's going to be fun, but we'll get back to today's topic.
I was going to say,
plenty of time to talk draft, and when the Senior Bowl's kicking off, we'll be talking a lot about the Senior Bowl that week as well.
All right.
So Gesicki, I think we're all in. It's all about money. We'll move on. The next guy, I don't have too much to say about the next guy. It's Marco Wilson on this list, and I'm just going by this list that had the free agents. So there's still names like Ford and Ossai I think we'll talk a little more about.
Yeah.
Marco Wilson, he didn't do awful. He didn't play a lot. I don't know. I know he had terrible PFF grades, got cut. That's the reason we were able to get him. I think he filled in fine for us, but I think it would be tough for him to make the 53, even with Ivy, CTB, if Dax, DJ, if everybody's Hilton's back, all those guys are at Newton. They're 6 right there, and you usually roster 6. So camp body, sure. If Marco Wilson wants to come in on a vet minimum deal here and go through camp with us and earns a job, fine. But that's about my only thoughts on him.
Yeah, I don't know much about Marco Wilson too much. So
yeah, he hasn't played. He didn't play too much, but he had some big plays. He had a couple big plays, and
I mean, yeah, we could probably get him back at minimum and all that. And if Darren Simmons wants him back, there's no debate right there, right?
Yeah, and also Nick Scourton or Scorton, another name.
I got Andrew going here.
But yeah, he's a guy who definitely could be in play at 17 because he fits the Bengals edge type.
Ooh.
He's he's about 6'4", 280. So he is big,
right.
rocked up. Like, it's not a bad 280, and he can move a little bit. Transferred from Purdue to Texas A&M. At Purdue last year, he had 10 sacks. This year his sack production was down, but his pressure rate was still pretty good per PFF. Okay.
So the SEC, so yeah.
Yeah, and he's projected to be a first-round pick, and I could see him middle of the first round wouldn't be bad.
Okay, well, Big Ten is good too. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, no, there you go.
I obviously love the draft too, stranger. I don't think that's a secret.
Yeah, I don't.
I do. It's just fun. It's like another season.
Draft?
I like the draft. What? Next guy on the list is Cody Ford. Now, there's some people, and I've seen draft guy Jared saying, "I'm just going to say I don't want Cody Ford as a starter." I agree, Jared. I agree.
We agree, Jared.
I want him back. I think he's good depth, 4-position versatility. Sign him to a deal like he signed this year. Maybe a little more incentives if he plays like he had to end up playing this year. I'm fine with that. But I definitely don't say that's where we invest at guard. We're replacing Kappa and Volson with Cody Ford and another person. Right. Cody Ford should still be a backup. I love everything he did and filled in and moved all around the line. Great job. But I am not penciling him as a starter. That's where I'm at with Cody Ford. How about you, Greg?
No, dude. Depth is just as important as starters. It is just as important. True. Cody, I mean, when we got Cody Ford, I'm like, oh, my Lord. I looked up his PFF like this is going to be a nightmare. But he has done a phenomenal job filling in when he's told to. I mean, you got to guard T.J. Watt. He shut down T.J. Watt. I'm sorry. That is awesome. He can play guard, very versatile. Why would you not want him back as a
exactly. And he's good buds with Orlando.
Yes.
So, I mean, and listen, if you draft somebody and Cody Ford beats him out in camp to be the starter at one of the guard spots, so be it.
Start him, man. The best will play.
But I don't want it just to be like, we signed Cody Ford, he's our starter, that's the end of the story.
No, absolutely not.
If he wins a job, I think all these guys should be competing. Unless your name's Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase or Trey Hendrickson, then you should probably be competing for your starting spot a little bit.
We definitely. Okay, say if we got Cody Ford back before free agency started, you still argue we should go after 2 guards in free agency.
Oh, well, if we get Cody Ford back as one, I am more of, I would like to get a good solid one in free agency and draft one in the 3rd or 4th round. I think you can usually get value there. Dominic Pooney being a great example, but there's many other guys that went in those mid-round range, and I think that'd be a good spot again this year with the guard class.
And Matt Lee, say if you have faith that Matt Lee can start at center, I would still be open to Teddy Karras moving to guard.
Or Matt Lee, maybe you're playing him. He better have been getting practice reps at guard.
Yes.
He better have, especially with all the injuries we had and things throughout the season. That bad play, he better have been repping that. So maybe he takes another step, reps it more, and he's out there competing.
Yeah, when I looked at Matt Lee, I'm like, we got him in the 7th round. This is a steal right here.
Yeah, I think at one point Cody Ford, before he even got here, said he didn't necessarily want to play guard. But I think Cody Ford has realized who he is, and at the point of his career, he'll play wherever the hell he's got to play.
He's like, I can't be picky. I play where I have to play.
Get your money, King, but not too much if you want to be here because we ain't going to pay you that much. All right, we'll move on to the next guy. It's Joseph Ossai. This is another. I mean, I hate to just keep banging the same drum, but it's money. It's David Malagueta's his agent. It's going to be tough, I think, to keep him because he came on with those 5 sacks. But his performance there at the end of the year with those 5 sacks are the reason we want him back so bad. So it's a tough one. And if you bring him back, are you penciling him in as a starter opposite of Trey to start the season? Is he competing with Myles Murphy? And if you plan on him competing with Myles Murphy, how much would you even be willing to pay him? But I think you could pay him a little more if you knew, like, hey, he's going to start for us, and Myles Murphy's going to be the rotational guy for Trey. So
we've had this talk because you and I both agreed that of all the free agents we named yesterday, that Ossai's the one we would want back. I mean, because he shows signs of flashes, but then it's like goes down again. I mean, that rookie year, man, that preseason game against Tampa Bay. Can you imagine if he stayed healthy that Super Bowl year? Oh, my Lord. It was so – I don't know, man. He's still young. That's what I like about him, but that's also where I have the fear, especially with Malagueta, that some team is going to pay the crap out of him.
Yeah, like if I had to put a percentage on him being back, like do I think he'll be back? It would have to be low, man. I think it had to be 15% or lower just because I think him being 24, who his agent is, he's going to get a much bigger payday than what the Bengals will do. So honestly, man, maybe 5% if I'm being honest on a percent.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But we better, but like Dale, it's like listening to DJ Reader, like you said, we never had a backup plan. You better have a backup plan.
Because I like Cedric Johnson, you know that, but
right,
geez, you need more guys, not less. And if Sam's does, let's say he retires, let's just say that, and you lose Ossai, and we're still not 100% sure what we have in Miles Murphy. Now, I was high on him incoming in the draft, but he hasn't shown me enough to be like, oh, I think this guy is our starter opposite of Trey Hendrickson, or is Trey's eventual replacement in a year or two, or whenever Trey hangs it up.
Right.
Hopefully here before wanting to do that elsewhere. So it is tough to lose him because then it's like, man, you got to take an edge in the first round. You're not giving yourself any flexibility to take BPA, because I think it should be BPA, best player available, but I think it should be at one of your biggest positions of need: edge, D tackle, or guard. The best player that's available of those three positions. That's who you take, the highest on your board.
Consideration or no? I
think corner is always in consideration, but I'm just higher on our corner group.
No, it did, Dale.
I just am.
I respectfully will disagree with you. I respect your opinion. But the thing of it is, man, it's just CTB. No, I still like CTB. But, if you have an opportunity, if the best player available is corner, you really, really have to consider it.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong. The problem is, I think the best players that could be there, this is,
but you start with the
draft talk, are injured guys, are Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame, and it's a hip injury, and that's scary. He's a first-round talent, but where does he go in the draft? Because a hip injury for a corner is tough. And then Siobhan Ravel out of East Carolina, he's another kid who got injured early in the season with a torn ACL. He's been out since the second or third week. And he's he's fun because he's 6'3", 6'4". He's got great length. He's going to test well if he's able to test by the time the combine and stuff rolls around. No. But it's you're taking these guys coming off injuries, and they may be the best player available at that pick, because I think Will Johnson's gone and Travis Hunter, I think, are gone. Those are my top two. And then after that, okay, are you going to take a Trey Amos at 17 out of Ole Miss? I don't know if I'd want to do that. A Jadal Barron from Texas, who will be playing my Buckeyes on Friday, who was a Thorpe Award winner. He's a very good player, but his body size, and I've seen some people have him at safety or slot corner, and now you're getting another guy in here like that at corner. But, he plays outside corner a lot. They move him around at Texas. Very good player. Not knocking him. I think he's a first-round talent, but probably not a guy I'm taking at 17. I don't think the value is going to line up either.
Oh, no. Say if the best two players available, say it's a tie between that corner and the DT, I'm taking the DT all day. You start at the trenches first. And there's no doubt in my mind. I'm just saying, though.
I would love this to be our option, KP. Kenneth Grant's on the board, James Pierce is on the board, and Tyler Booker's on the board. I would be I'm good with all three of those picks. You're giving me my guard 1. You're getting Kenneth Grant. I think I have at D tackle 3 behind Walter Nolan and Mason Graham. And that's still, those guys are I'm very high on them. I'm very high on Grant too. But Grant's right there around Nolan for me as far as where I stack them on the board. And James Pierce is my edge too, behind only Abdul Carter, who I love. So if you told me I could get Kenneth Grant, who's 2 or 3 basically at D tackle for me, or I could get my second best edge or my number 1 guard in Tyler Booker from Alabama, I would be ecstatic about getting any of those 3 at positions.
Sign me up for that too. Yeah, like I say, I'm just saying if corner happens to be, but the corners you just named, that kind of scares me off a little bit right there with the injury issues.
Well, I don't have a PowerPoint for you, T-Brookie, but I got this draft guide for Project Game Day charity. $5 donation to Project Game Day's charity. On my X account, it's on there. The link to Project Game Day, Venmo them $5. Boom. DM me with your email address. I forward you a draft guide, and I update it, and I have your email address. And when I update it, I forward it again, and I'll update it all the way till the draft. I update those about once a month, once every few weeks, sometimes once a week when the season was going, but now it's going to be a little less frequently.
I was going to add on to that.
For anybody who needs one.
This dude updates everything.
And it all goes to charity, right? It goes to Project Game Day, which helps kids, adults, or not adults, any individuals with disabilities, and also military veterans to Bengals games. That's where the money goes directly to. I don't take a dime. But we'll move on. It's Project Game Day. Game Day is spelled DEY. Twitter, it is pinned to the Bengals and Brews page on Twitter, the link for the Venmo, and then you just DM the Bengals and Brews account. And that's for anybody that wants one. So I appreciate everybody who's donated. I think we've raised around like $230 so far for Project Game Day, and we're just now getting into draft season. So that's awesome. You guys are awesome for donating to Project Game Day, and I always appreciate the support. Got quite a list in a short amount of time because we've got to get out of here in less than 10 minutes, Greg. So we'll run through this list probably a lot quicker here to finish it out. Tanner Hudson, I think it's time. We got McLaughlin here. I hope Gesicki's back. I hope Eric All can come back. Cam Grandy, I think I'd keep Cam Grandy over Tanner Hudson. Like, I'm not completely opposed to Tanner Hudson on a vet minimum. Put him in camp if he don't have any offers anywhere else. But I'm also not like, oh, I really want Tanner Hudson back this year. I just think it may be time to move on.
Well, I wasn't this, but I forget about you, but I know quite a few people I knew were like, I'm cool with Tanner Hudson as their number one tight end going in this before free agency even started and all that. I forget what you were.
I was somewhere on the – I don't know about tight end one, but I liked him a lot.
Right.
Definitely as a top, like a guy to get a lot of snaps.
I was for we drafted tight end and keep Tanner Hudson. Yeah, because when we signed Tanner Hudson sample, I'm like, okay, you know what? That's fine. I'm cool with it. We got two tight ends. Mike Gesicki shocked the heck out of me and all that, but obviously everything went well. But Tanner Hudson, man, that fumble against the Patriots.
And he had some big plays, putting him under center for quarterback sneaks and stuff.
Oh, my God. He made a great play against Pittsburgh. I mean, he still can make you big plays, but with our tight end now, Eric All, you still can't rely on him. But Tanner
that's the thing.
And Gandy has been out there quite a bit from time to time, so they clearly like him a lot. This is a good
Drew Sample. The GOAT Drew Sample ain't going nowhere. We can't not mention
exactly.
We're talking tight end.
It's just I never thought we'd ever say this, but it's a crowded tight end room.
Yeah, and it still wouldn't shock me if they draft one, depending on the Eric All injury recovery. Is he going to miss all of next season? Is he going to miss half the season? We don't know. Right. He recovered quick the first time, but I'm sure you keep getting injured, it's harder to recover from. I mean, that just next guy is Joe Bocci. I'm going to take it or leave it. I like what Jean Meta's done and special teams, and I like what Shaka Hayward did in that Pittsburgh game, getting snaps, and what he's done on special teams. So for me, Joe Bocci is not a priority. But if he comes back as a special team, as a goal line situational linebacker, as depth and competing, no issue with the vet minimum deal for Bocci, but he's not a priority to me in any way, shape, or form.
Let me just tell you, that Tennessee game where he had to come in, he did one hell of a job. I will never forget that game where he just came in, made a huge stop, like on fourth down.
He's solid special teams at minimum. Too.
If it's solid special teams, and there's nothing wrong with that, I will have nothing but good memories with him.
Yeah. Like if he's back, I'm cool with it. If he's gone, I'm not. I think that Shaka Hayward and Jean Meta can fill him being gone just fine. He was hurt and he missed a lot of the year, and those guys had to step up. Now it may depend too. Like another guy we talked about, Akeem Davis-Gaither. Does he get re-signed or not? That could be if Davis-Gaither leaves. Maybe that's why Bocci ends up coming back. Like I could see that too. It's one or the other.
Actually, I think I got Bocci mixed up with that other kid, Johnson. I forget the kid's name and all. I think I got it mixed up with somebody else. But Bocci still did a hell of a job for us. So.
Yeah, he's made some plays, goal line and stuff. I had nothing bad. He's definitely been a special teams guy. He dealt with some injuries this year. Next guy's Von Bell. I think it's time to move on. That was a Lou guy. He had a down season. Love you, Von. You'll always be in this KB art print I got back here, knocking the shit out of Juju Smith-Schuster. So I love you. I respect you. Loved having you as a Bengal. That was one of our best pickups. I loved when we picked you up. That was late in free agency when it was like, are we done? Boom, 3 years, $15 million, Von Bell. As a Buckeye fan, too, I'm like, let's go. And you were great here for us and helped lead us to the Super Bowl, too. Back there with Jesse Bates. Nothing but good memories, too, with Von Bell. But I do think it's time to move on.
Von Bell I don't know if he's an argument for the Ring of Honor in the future because I don't think he's been here long enough. But, just so many big plays, just such a great team leader. So many awesome memories with Von Bell.
Crip's going off about this heater, man. How would anyone even see me, Crip? We have a foot of snow outside to give me any kind of heater. Yeah. I also live 2 or 3 hours away from everyone and everything. But I love you, Crip. I appreciate it.
We love you, buddy.
Let my feet get cold down here, even though I got boots on. Next guy, Travion Williams, another guy. If he's brought back for special teams, this, that, and the other, I'm fine with it. But honestly, I would like to see an upgrade. And I think, maybe it's Khalil Herbert we talked about that's brought back. And he is on this list. So we'll just knock both of them out at once. I think if it's like bring one back and they're both able to bring him back, give me Khalil Herbert. Chris Evans is also on this list. So we'll lump them all in. You can get one back And maybe we draft one too, because I still think we need a big bruising back. And maybe Kendall Milton can fill that role eventually. We just didn't see enough to know either way. He was only a rookie, and he didn't get playing time or carries hardly. But you can pick one, Greg. Travion Williams, Chris Evans, Khalil Herbert to have back next year. Which of those three are you taking?
Khalil Herbert, but I see, excuse me. Either way, I still draft a running back. I mean, Tyron Tracy, the guy I liked a lot, did well for the Giants for a 6th-round pick. If you can find me someone in the 5th or 6th round, I'll just go straight to the podium.
Yeah, and I'm good with bringing Herbert back and having Chase Brown and
Herbert,
a running back, man.
He started out really quiet, but he was really cooking as the game went on.
Well, he's a good return man too for kick returns. Like, I'm for it, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think his market's going to be huge because he wasn't playing for the Bears, and we traded a 7th rounder for him. And maybe he likes that he saw his role here. And maybe they're like, hey, if we want you back, you're going to be back, and we're going – because they can't ride Chase Brown that hard all season long.
Is there a running back that can also kick return going into the draft that you know of?
Oh, I mean, there'll be several. I would have to look at the list, honestly. There's not somebody that stands out at the top of my head necessarily, but a lot of those guys can do that a little bit.
But get me a guy that you maybe like Darren Simmons would want also. Give me a guy that can be like that 3rd running back and maybe a kick returner or something.
Yeah, and I have professed my love for man. He is just rising up my board nonstop. And draft season's over, but I'll go back and watch more film of him. But what I watched of him, I've absolutely loved. He is a fun prospect. Judkins is fun. I actually have Travion Henderson a little higher than Judkins. I just think Travion's had a better season. Travion, I do worry about his injury history. He's been injured a lot. The other Ohio State running back besides Judkins. I like them both. Don't get me wrong, but I got Travion a little higher than Judkins on my board. And Scadaboo's right in the mix with both of those guys too.
What round is Travion in? Do you have him?
I think 3rd because I've only got one guy in the 1st round.
No,
he might be 2nd. He might be 2nd.
Okay, not 2nd. I was going to say the highest I would go for running back is maybe 4th, maybe.
Well, it's a good class. There's going to be guys, and that's what I'm saying. I would wait day 3, I think personally too, and that's why I think I can't even bang the tape. Like I wouldn't be mad if you got Scadaboo in the 3rd. I think at some point in the 1st or 2nd, the Bengals should trade down. They almost have to trade down, only having 6 picks, unless they trade some players and get some picks. But I want them to almost trade back at some point. But if a guy's there that you love, don't trade back. Just stick with 6 picks, and that's that. If there's a guy there,
we don't have 6 picks, so we lost a draft pick
for Khalil Herbert. But that's the 7th rounder. You're not usually. You can always TJ Hoosman's out. You can always say this guy, that guy. You can also say a lot longer list of names that never played it down for the Bengals that were drafted in the 7th round.
Wait. We won't get anything for DJ Reader. I guess we won't get anything for DJ Reader.
Probably not. We added some guys, but yeah, if we get a comp, maybe we do end up with a comp pick in the 5th, 6th round somewhere. First, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but So we'll move on from running backs. We covered all 3 of those guys that are up a little bit there. Jay Tufele, I didn't see enough out of him, and I liked him before this year, but he was getting a lot of run early, and he got a lot of run late, honestly, and quite a bit of snaps, and he didn't impress me enough to where, if he's competing for a roster spot next year because he came back for vet minimum, sure, he's in camp because you can have 90 guys in camp, fine. But in no world do I think Tufele should be on this 53 when the season starts next year at defensive tackle.
It depends on what the new D-line coach and the new D coordinator wants, but I'm ready to almost to clean.
We need upgrades, man. We need upgrades, and we got Jenkins and Jackson to take 2 spots. But whether Hill's back or not, I feel like we just need upgrades at that spot, and I think we need an upgrade from Tufele. Maybe it's time to move on. But if he's here in camp, that's where I'm at with it. So Cam Sample, that's one that I think Jeff brought up yesterday. And Sample, I mean, he's injured. We'll see how the recovery is. But if he don't have a big market, yes, I'd like him back because I like the versatility that I think he can kick into D tackle. And they haven't done it a lot, but new defense coordinator, new D-line coach, maybe they are willing to do that. So I'm not opposed to bringing Cam Sample back. I actually like it.
Yeah. I just totally forgot about Cam Sample. I just totally forgot about it. I mean, they've always been high on him. They were high on him coming out of the draft. He's just never, Dale. I never seen the flashes though, really. Yeah. But fair. I'm not against bringing him back, but
he was a solid rotational guy there for a little bit, but nothing special. You know what I mean?
Right. If I can get him back at vet minimum, so be it then. If he's going to be like, that final roster spot, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might have a guy that comes out and that you draft even as an undrafted guy, potentially undrafted free agent, maybe a Devon J. Thomas from Penn State. Got to mention in Ryan. Deontay Smith, I'd probably move on from him too at tackle. He's been hurt all season.
I was so excited for him. I was so excited. I thought
a lot of upside, right? It was.
Oh my gosh! He had like the long arms, the everything. I'm like, oh, if he just gets the right coaching, I was so excited. That year we drafted Chase, I think that was the one I was excited for the most was Deontay. Well, behind Ossai also, but yeah, I was so excited for him.
Next, now we're moving into restricted free agents, so this will be quick. Cal Adamitis, yes, he'll be back. They'll figure, you know what I mean. Cade York, I could see them bringing Cade back potentially to compete with Evan. And
practice squad, but I could totally see some team that loses a kicker or needs a kicker. I could totally see that team making a phone call, but I would definitely
It depends what Darren Simmons and the Bengals are saying to him. Hey, you're actually legit competing with McPherson and Camp or not.
I'd be okay with that.
If he's not actually competing, give me an opportunity to go compete somewhere else.
No, that's a good point. I would take him back. No, because McPherson, I don't care if we sign McPherson to a contract. I want competition.
Yeah, Cam Grandy, he's exclusive rights, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I'll take him back.
Jackson Kirkland, who ended up getting hurt, but I love that he made the 53. I think he earned making the 53 in the preseason. Obviously, I hope he's healthy. That's a guy, he'll be back, and he'll be seeing if he can make the 53 again. I can't imagine them going anywhere. And the last guy on the list completely should be an all-pro, honestly. And he's a fucking punter, and he's exclusive right free agent. And his name's Ryan Rico, baby.
Oh, let's debate this, Dale.
Bring him back. That one's easy.
Yeah.
Man, pop-up shows. Stan school keeps getting canceled. I ain't got nothing to do. I got cabin fever in that house. Marissa's working from home. The snow sucks down here. So we've been doing pop-up shows, but you guys have showed up, man, and it's made us want to keep doing. Me and Greg's talked about off air. It's been refreshing. Greg's been working his ass off, with all this snow, with the job he does, and which respect to Greg for that. But it's been nice for us to get on here for different reasons. Him for an outlet after working his ass off, and me for doing literally nothing. And I
told Dale, look, Dale, I'll do the show. I think Dale was a little shocked, but I said, Dale, I need to stay asleep. I need to stay awake so I don't wake up like at 9 at night or something. So no, these shows have been keeping me going, man. I tell you, the snow's been stressful. I think unfortunately, we're supposed to get a little bit more snow Friday also too. I hope it's not as bad as what we just had, but this show keeps me going, man.
Yeah, and we'll see. You never know. That's why you like and subscribe our YouTube channel and set the notifications if you want, because we could be doing a pop-up show tomorrow. Or if you follow us on X, as you see under my name there, at Bengals Brews, that's where you can get the draft guide information pinned to the thing. You can DM me if you want one and get you that. And also, I usually post, hey, we're having a show. So it might be a pop-up show. Might be a pop-up show tomorrow. We've done a lot of shows this week, and I'll be on with the Iceman at 5:30. I think we're talking T. Higgins. I don't even know. We'll talk about something. Whatever. Yeah. We'll talk about something. But you guys are awesome, man, for tuning in. You guys are absolutely spectacular. We love you, Brew Crew.